One morning, Caroline saw her daughter Amanda getting into an old van. Worried about Amanda's safety, she followed her. The van stopped in a rundown part of town, and Caroline's heart sank when the last person she expected came out. It was a sunny Saturday morning, and Caroline was absorbed in her usual routine in the kitchen, preparing breakfast. The smell of freshly toasted bread mixed with the aroma of fresh coffee filled the air, creating a cozy atmosphere. Amanda, her teenage daughter, was sitting at the table, scrolling through her phone while absent-mindedly nibbling on an apple. The silence between them was comfortable, punctuated only by the soft sound of utensils and plates. Suddenly, Caroline looked up from the newspaper and noticed Amanda quickly getting up from the table. "Are you going somewhere?" she asked with disguised curiosity. "I'm meeting Jessica," Amanda replied, hurrying towards the door. "Jessica? Aren't you going to the mall today?" Caroline frowned. "Yes, we're going to the mall," Amanda confirmed, already with her hand on the doorknob. "Don't worry, Mom. Love you." "Love you too," Caroline replied, but her words were lost in the sound of the door closing. A resigned smile formed on her lips. "Teenagers," she muttered, starting to clean the table. However, something caught her attention through the window. She saw Amanda getting into an old rusty van. A shiver of concern ran down her spine. Jessica never drives, and certainly not a van like that, she thought. Without hesitation, she grabbed her keys and followed the van in her own car. The van crossed the city, entering a degraded area. Caroline felt a knot in her stomach. When the van finally stopped in front of a small, rundown cafe, she parked nearby, keeping a safe distance. Her heart raced as she saw Amanda getting out of the van, followed by a figure that Caroline immediately recognized. Julie, Amanda's biological mother whom she hadn't seen in a decade. Caroline was paralyzed. Julie? What was she doing here? With a mix of shock and determination, Caroline put on her sunglasses and discreetly entered the cafe, hoping to go unnoticed. She needed to understand what was going on and, above all, protect her daughter. Caroline entered the cafe, trying to appear casual, but her heart was beating fast. The atmosphere was filled with the scent of fresh coffee and baked goods, and soft background music played. She spotted Amanda and Julie at a table in the corner, engaged in an intense conversation. Caroline chose a nearby table, but far enough to not raise suspicions. An enthusiastic waitress approached. "Good afternoon. What can I bring you, ma'am?" she asked, with a radiant smile. "A black coffee, please," Caroline replied, forcing a smile. She needed to pay attention to the conversation, but the waitress took longer than she would have liked, placing a notepad and pen on the table before finally walking away. Caroline tried to catch snippets of the conversation between Amanda and Julie. "I really don't know what to do," she heard Amanda say, her voice filled with uncertainty. "I just want what's best for you," Julie replied, with a gentleness in her voice that surprised Caroline. "But Caroline has always been my mother," Amanda retorted, her loyalty evident. Caroline felt a pang of relief, but also a growing pain. Julie was trying to reconnect with Amanda, and the prospect of losing her daughter terrified her. Determined to find out more, Caroline decided to wait. The waitress returned with the coffee, placing it on Caroline's table with a smile. "Here you go. Enjoy." "Thank you," Caroline murmured, not taking her eyes off Amanda and Julie. She picked up the cup and took a sip, trying to maintain her composure. The conversation between Amanda and Julie continued, but Caroline could barely hear the details. Every word she managed to catch increased her anxiety. Julie seemed genuine, but Caroline knew about her past demons. Finally, Julie leaned over the table and took Amanda's hand. "I've changed, Amanda. I've been sober for years. I have a stable job. I want to be part of your life again." Amanda hesitated, her expression confused and conflicted. I need time to think." Caroline couldn't wait any longer. She stood up abruptly, knocking over the chair, and walked towards their table. Amanda and Julie looked surprised as Caroline approached. "What's going on here?" she asked, her voice firm but trembling with emotion. Amanda looked at Caroline, her eyes filled with tears. "Mom, why didn't you tell me about Julie?" Caroline took a deep breath, feeling the weight of her past decisions. "I just wanted to protect you," she said, her voice almost a whisper. "I've always wanted what's best for you." Julie stood up, coming face to face with Caroline. She has the right to know the truth. She has the right to decide for herself. Caroline looked at Amanda, who seemed so lost. I didn't want it to be like this," Caroline said, feeling a deep pain in her heart. "Let's talk at home. All of us." Amanda nodded slowly, and Caroline felt a small spark of hope. Maybe, just maybe, they could find a way to resolve this together. The trip back home was silent and tense. Caroline drove, while Amanda and Julie shared the back seat, each lost in their own thoughts. Caroline's head was spinning with 1,000 questions and concerns. How to explain everything? How to protect Amanda without pushing her away even more? Arriving home, Caroline asked everyone to sit in the living room. Amanda settled on the couch, with a look of expectation and confusion. Julie, on the other hand, seemed determined, ready for any confrontation. Caroline sat in the armchair in front of the two, feeling the weight of the moment. "I never wanted to hide anything from you, Amanda," Caroline began, her voice trembling but sincere. "When I adopted you, I thought I was doing what was best. Julie wasn't in a position to take care of you." Amanda crossed her arms, visibly hurt. "And now she is? Why didn't you tell me before?" Caroline took a deep breath, struggling to stay calm. "I was afraid, Amanda. Afraid that you would get hurt, that you would be rejected again. Julie wasn't well at the time." Julie interrupted, her voice firm. "I was sick, yes, but now I'm better. I want a second chance." Caroline looked directly at Julie. "And how can I trust you now? How can I know that you've really changed?" Julie sighed, visibly emotional. "I understand your mistrust, Caroline. I wasn't a good mother before, but I've been sober for 5 years. I have a steady job and a stable place to live. I just want what's best for Amanda too." Amanda watched the two women, her expression showing internal conflict. "I just wanted to know the truth," she said, her voice almost a whisper. "I just wanted to understand who I am." Caroline felt a deep pain in her heart hearing this. She stood up and went to Amanda, kneeling in front of her. "You are my daughter," she said, her hands holding Amanda's. "I love you more than anything in this world, and everything I did was out of love." Amanda looked at Caroline, her eyes filled with tears. "I know, Mom. I know you love me, but I also want to get to know Julie. I want to know where I came from." Caroline nodded, realizing she had no choice but to accept the situation. "All right, Amanda, we'll figure this out together. But know that I'm here for you, always." Julie stood up and approached, placing a comforting hand on Amanda's shoulder. "I'm here for you too, Amanda, and I promise I'll never disappoint you again." The tension in the room seemed to ease a bit, and for the first time, Caroline saw a future where they could all coexist. It wouldn't be easy, but for Amanda's sake, she was willing to try. In the days that followed, Caroline, Amanda, and Julie's lives took on a new dynamic. Caroline, determined to show Amanda that she trusted her, allowed her to spend some weekends with Julie. This wasn't easy for Caroline, who feared for her daughter's well-being, but she knew she had to be strong. On that Friday afternoon, Amanda was packing her bag to spend the weekend with Julie. Caroline watched from the bedroom door, fighting the anxiety that consumed her. "Are you sure you want to do this, Amanda?" she asked, trying to hide the concern in her voice. Amanda stopped packing her things and looked at Caroline. "Yes, Mom. I want to get to know Julie better, but I promise I'll be back on Sunday night." Caroline smiled, although her heart was heavy. "All right, sweetheart. Remember to call if you need anything, okay?" Amanda nodded, finishing packing her bag. "I will, Mom. Thank you for understanding." When Julie arrived to pick up Amanda, Caroline greeted her with a tense smile. "Take care of her," she said, her voice filled with a mix of warning and hope. Julie nodded, taking Amanda's hand. "I promise I'll take care of her, Caroline. We'll see each other on Sunday." As Caroline watched Julie and Amanda walk away, she felt an emptiness in her chest. The house seemed incredibly quiet without Amanda's vibrant presence. Trying to occupy her mind, Caroline decided to clean the house, but her thoughts constantly returned to her daughter. In Julie's apartment, Amanda looked around, exploring the new environment. The place was modest but well kept, reflecting Julie's effort to rebuild her life. "Do you like movies?" Julie asked, trying to ease the tension. "I love it," Amanda replied with a shy smile. "Can we watch a movie tonight?" Julie smiled, relieved. "Of course. Let's order pizza and have a movie marathon." As the night went on, Amanda and Julie began to open up to each other. Amanda shared stories of her childhood with Caroline, and Julie talked about her difficult years and her struggle to overcome addiction. "I'm not trying to replace Caroline," Julie said sincerely. "She's an amazing mother. I just want to be a part of her life in some way." Amanda felt a lump in her throat. "I know, and I want to get to know you better, Julie. I think we need that." Back at her house, Caroline lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. She couldn't help but wonder how Amanda was doing, if she was feeling safe and happy. The thought of Julie trying to win back Amanda's love was painful, but Caroline knew she needed to trust her daughter and the strength of the bond they had built. On Sunday night, when Amanda returned home, Caroline greeted her with a tight hug. "How was it?" she asked, trying to hide her anxiety. "It was good, Mom," Amanda replied, smiling. "Julie and I had fun, but I missed home." Caroline felt a wave of relief and love. "I'm so glad you're back. Let's have dinner together, and you can tell me everything." As they sat at the table, Caroline realized that, despite the challenges, it might be possible to find a balance. With love and patience, they could build a future where Amanda had space to love both mothers who wanted her so much. The next month brought a new routine for Caroline, Amanda, and Julie. Amanda's weekend visits to Julie's house became regular, and slowly, a new normalcy began to establish itself. During the week, Caroline and Amanda lived their usual lives, while weekends became precious time for Amanda and Julie to reconnect. On a particularly rainy Friday, Julie picked up Amanda from school. "Ready for the weekend?" Julie asked, smiling. "Yes. Are we going to make that cake recipe you told me about?" Amanda replied excitedly, settling into the car. "Of course, we'll make it together," Julie confirmed, feeling a warmth in her heart at Amanda's enthusiasm. At Julie's apartment, the two spent the evening cooking and talking. Amanda talked about her dreams and ambitions, while Julie shared stories of her own youth. The bond between them was growing stronger, but Amanda still missed Caroline. On Saturday morning, Amanda woke up early and found Julie preparing breakfast. "Good morning," Amanda said, sitting at the table. "Good morning, dear. Did you sleep well?" Julie asked, serving hot pancakes. "Yes, Julie, I wanted to ask you something," Amanda began, hesitantly. "Of course, you can ask," Julie replied, sitting down beside her. "Are you really okay now? I mean, you're not going to start drinking again, are you?" Amanda asked, with a worried look. Julie took a deep breath. "I understand your concern, Amanda. I'm fine. It's been 5 years since I've been sober, and I'm committed to staying that way. You can trust me." Amanda nodded, feeling slightly relieved. "I want to believe you. I just don't want anything bad to happen." Julie held Amanda's hand. "Nothing bad is going to happen. I promise I'm here to stay." Meanwhile, Caroline was at home, enjoying a rare moment of tranquility. She found herself thinking about Amanda and Julie, hoping that things were going well. Doubt and insecurity were still present, but she knew she needed to give Amanda space to make her own choices. On that Sunday afternoon, when Amanda returned home, she was radiant. "Mom, we made an amazing cake. I'll teach you the recipe," she said, hugging Caroline. "I would love to learn," Caroline replied, feeling happy to see Amanda so excited. During dinner, Amanda recounted every detail of her weekend with Julie, and Caroline listened attentively, feeling a mix of pride and melancholy. She knew that this new dynamic was important to Amanda, but she couldn't help but fear losing her place in her daughter's life. After dinner, while Amanda watched TV, Caroline received a message from Julie. "Thank you for trusting me with Amanda. She's incredible. I hope we can continue to make this work." Caroline smiled and replied, "Thank you for taking care of her. Let's make this work together." Over time, Caroline realized that Amanda's love for Julie didn't diminish the love she had for her. On the contrary, it seemed to strengthen the bond between them. Caroline began to believe that, perhaps, there was room for everyone in a shared future. As the weeks went by, Caroline, Amanda, and Julie's lives gained stability. Amanda was adapting well to the new routine, dividing her time between the two mothers. However, a cloud of unanswered questions hung over them, and it was time for some truths to come to light. It was a Saturday afternoon when Amanda, Caroline, and Julie decided to spend the day together. They went to the park, enjoyed a picnic, and as the sun began to set, Amanda asked a question that had been on her mind for a long time. "Julie, why did you leave me with Caroline?" Amanda asked, her voice low but filled with curiosity and pain. Julie looked at Caroline, who gave a small encouraging nod. "Amanda, you deserve to know the truth," Julie began, taking a deep breath. "I was very sick when you were little. I was trapped in a cycle of alcohol and bad decisions. I couldn't take care of myself, let alone a baby. When Caroline adopted you, I knew she could give you a better life than I could." Amanda listened attentively, her conflicting emotions reflected on her face. "I understand, but why didn't you try to come back earlier? Why only now?" Julie wiped away a solitary tear. "I needed to rebuild myself, Amanda. I needed to become someone worthy of being your mother. And it took time for me to finally feel ready for that." Caroline intervened gently. "Julie wrote letters to you, Amanda. I kept them, waiting for the right moment to give them to you." Amanda was surprised. "Letters?" Caroline nodded and took out a small box that had been stored in the car. "Here they are. I never wanted to hide anything from you. I was just waiting for the right moment." Amanda took the box carefully, opening it to find several letters, each dated from the past few years. She began to read the first one silently, tears streaming down her face as she read Julie's words of regret, love, and hope. "I have always loved you, Amanda," Julie said, her voice choked with emotion, "and I am here now to try to make up for lost time." Amanda looked at the two women in front of her, feeling a mixture of gratitude and sadness. "I love both of you," she said, her voice trembling, "and I want us to be a family somehow." The three embraced, a hug that seemed to seal a new promise of unity and understanding. Caroline and Julie, for a moment, set aside their differences and focused on the love they shared for Amanda. When they returned home that night, Amanda went to her room with the box of letters, eager to read more. Caroline and Julie stayed in the living room, a comfortable silence between them. "Thank you for telling the truth, Julie," Caroline said, breaking the silence. "I needed to." "For Amanda," Julie replied. And so, slowly, the family began to heal. The wounds were still there, but the willingness to move forward and build something new was stronger. And together, they were willing to face any challenges that came their way. In the following weeks, the relationship between Caroline, Amanda, and Julie began to strengthen in unexpected ways. Julie's letters revealed the depth of her love and regret, and Amanda began to see her biological mother in a new light. However, new challenges were lurking, ready to test this new family dynamic. It was a Monday morning when Caroline received an urgent phone call from Amanda's school. "Mrs. Caroline, we need you to come to the school immediately," said the voice on the other end of the line. Amanda was involved in a fight. Caroline felt her heart race. "I'm on my way," she replied quickly, grabbing her keys and rushing out. Upon arriving at the school, she found Amanda sitting in the principal's office, a bandage over her left eye and a weary look on her face. Julie was also there, having been called by the school. "What happened?" Caroline asked, her voice a mix of concern and exasperation. Amanda was provoked by some classmates who found out about the situation with Julie, the principal explained. "She reacted physically. We are concerned for her well-being." Amanda looked at her mothers, tears streaming down her face. They were saying horrible things about Julie. "I couldn't take it," she explained, her voice trembling. Julie approached and hugged Amanda. "Darling, you don't need to fight my battles for me. I am here now, and that's what matters." Caroline, trying to remain calm, addressed the principal. "We will handle this at home. I promise this won't happen again." Back at Caroline's house, the three sat in the living room. "Amanda, I know it's difficult, but reacting with violence is not the answer," Caroline said gently. "I know, Mom," Amanda replied, sobbing, "but I just wanted to protect her." Julie held Amanda's hands. What matters is that we are together. We will face this as a family. That incident brought old demons to the surface for Julie. She started attending support meetings more frequently, determined not to let the challenges shake her sobriety. Caroline, in turn, started attending the meetings with Julie, showing support and solidarity. Gradually, Amanda began to find healthier ways to deal with her feelings. She enrolled in a martial arts class, learning discipline and self-control. Julie and Caroline supported the decision, seeing it as a way to channel her energy in a positive way. One night, after one of these classes, Amanda sat down with Caroline and Julie at the dinner table. "I know it won't always be easy," Amanda said, looking at her mothers, "but I'm glad to have both of you in my life." Caroline smiled, feeling a wave of pride. "We're here for you always." Julie nodded, her eyes shining with contained tears. "And we will face anything together." As the night fell, a sense of hope hung in the air. The journey was still far from over, but for the first time, Caroline, Amanda, and Julie felt that they could face anything as long as they were together. Over the following months, Amanda continued to divide her time between Caroline and Julie, and slowly, the old wounds began to heal. However, life was about to throw a new challenge at this newly reformed family. A challenge that would test not only the strength of their family bonds, but also their ability to forgive and move forward. It was a quiet night when Caroline received an unexpected call from Julie. "Caroline, I need to talk to you. Can you come over?" Julie said, her voice tense. "Of course, I'm on my way," Caroline replied, feeling a knot in her stomach. When she arrived at Julie's apartment, she found her with a worried expression. "What happened?" Caroline asked, entering and closing the door behind her. Julie took a deep breath, her hands trembling slightly. I got fired today. The company is cutting costs, and I was one of the first to be let go." Caroline felt a pang in her heart. "Julie, I'm so sorry. What can we do to help you?" "I don't know, Caroline. I was counting on this job to keep my sobriety stable and to support Amanda on weekends. Now, everything seems so uncertain," Julie confessed, fighting back tears. Caroline thought for a moment before responding. "You're not alone, Julie. We will get through this together. Amanda and I are here for you." In the following days, Caroline and Julie began searching for solutions. Caroline helped Julie revise her resume and look for new job opportunities. Amanda, on the other hand, offered her emotional support, spending more time with Julie and making sure she didn't feel alone. Despite their joint efforts, the pressure started to affect Julie. The support meetings, which had once been a refuge, now seemed insufficient to deal with the growing anxiety. On a particularly difficult night, Julie almost succumbed to the temptation to drink again. She sat in the kitchen, staring at a bottle of wine she had found hidden at the back of a cupboard. Her hands trembled as she contemplated the decision that could undo years of effort. Before she could do anything, Amanda entered the kitchen and saw her. "Julie, no!" Amanda shouted, rushing to take the bottle from her hands. "Please, don't do this. We need you. I need you." Julie started crying, feeling weaker than ever. "I don't know if I can, Amanda. Everything seems so hard." Amanda hugged Julie, holding her tightly. "You can. We will overcome this together. I promise." Caroline entered the kitchen, seeing the scene and immediately understanding what had happened. Without saying a word, she approached and enveloped both of them in a hug, creating an unwavering circle of support. That night, they talked openly about their fears and concerns, promising each other that they would never give up. Julie, feeling strengthened by Caroline and Amanda's love and support, decided to intensify her participation in the support meetings and seek professional help to deal with her anxiety. The following days were challenging, but the family found a new balance. Caroline and Julie, despite their differences, began to understand each other better, realizing that the key to overcoming any obstacle was unity. Amanda, seeing the effort of both mothers to overcome the difficulties, felt inspired. She knew that the road ahead would not be easy, but with Caroline and Julie by her side, she was ready to face any storm. Time passed, and slowly, the internal storms began to dissipate. The family, formed by Caroline, Amanda, and Julie, faced each challenge with determination and unity, But a final test was about to arise, one that could either solidify or crumble everything they had built. It was a cloudy morning when Caroline received a call from an unknown number. On the other end of the line, a formal voice announced, "Mrs. Caroline, this is the hospital. We need you to come immediately. It's about Julie." Caroline's heart raced. She grabbed the keys and, with Amanda by her side, rushed to the hospital. Upon arrival, they were led to a waiting room. Julie had suffered a nervous breakdown and was under medical care. "She is stable now, but she needs time to recover," explained the doctor with a serious expression. "You can see her, but please be brief." Caroline and Amanda entered the hospital room, finding Julie lying down, pale but conscious. Tears filled her eyes upon seeing the two. "I'm sorry," Julie murmured, her voice weak. I couldn't handle it." Caroline held Julie's hand. "You don't have to go through this alone, Julie. We are here for you, always." Amanda, with tears streaming down her face, approached. "We love you, Julie, and we will overcome this together." From that moment on, Caroline decided it was time for a radical change. "Julie, come live with us. It doesn't make sense for us to be apart when we need each other so much." Julie, surprised and touched, nodded. "I would love that, but what about Amanda? Is she okay with it?" Amanda smiled, wiping away her tears. "Of course I am. We are a family, and families stick together." The following days were about adjustments. Caroline prepared a room for Julie, while Amanda helped with the move. Julie's presence in the house brought new challenges, but also a new sense of completeness. Together, they established routines that included quality family time and constant support. One night, while having dinner, Caroline suggested something that surprised everyone. "What if we took a family vacation? Something to get away from all the stress and allow us to start over." Amanda's eyes lit up. "That would be amazing. Can we go to the beach? I've always wanted to surf." Julie smiled, feeling a warmth in her heart that she hadn't felt in a long time. "I think that's a great idea. We need this." With the decision made, they began planning the trip. Amidst laughter and anticipation, the family grew even closer. The preparation for the vacation brought a new enthusiasm to all of them, and the idea of creating new memories together filled their hearts with hope. When they finally set off for the beach, the feeling was one of renewal. The waves of the sea, the bright sun, and the fresh breeze provided a perfect setting for new beginnings. Amanda, Caroline, and Julie, holding hands, walked along the sand, feeling that, despite all the obstacles, they had found a light at the end of the tunnel. In that moment, looking at the horizon, they realized that, regardless of what the future held, they would be ready to face any challenge. Together, as a true family. The days at the beach passed quickly but were unforgettable. With each sunrise, Caroline, Amanda, and Julie felt more connected, stronger, and more united as a true family. The shared laughter, deep conversations, and moments of pure joy left permanent marks on their hearts. On the last day of the vacation, as the sun set on the horizon, Amanda suggested something special. "Let's have a bonfire on the beach. We can share our dreams and fears as a way to say goodbye to this place and start a new chapter." Caroline and Julie enthusiastically agreed. Gathered around the bonfire, the flames danced, reflecting in each of their eyes, illuminating not only their faces but also their souls. Caroline was the first to speak. "My biggest fear has always been losing you both, but it is also my biggest dream to see you happy, fulfilled, knowing that we will always be together, no matter what happens." Julie, with a tear rolling down her face, smiled. "I dreamed of having a second chance, and my biggest fear was wasting it. But now, with you, I see that I can build a better future, one step at a time." Amanda, holding their hands, confessed, "My biggest fear was not being enough to keep our family together. But my dream has always been to see you two together, happy. And now I see that it is possible." That night, around the bonfire, they promised to always fight for each other, face challenges together, and never give up on the love they shared. Upon returning home, life seemed brighter. Julie found a new job, one that gave her stability and purpose. Caroline, strengthened by family ties, dedicated herself even more to her career and to providing a home filled with love. Amanda, inspired by the strength of her two mothers, focused on her studies and her passions, determined to make a difference in the world. Time passed, and despite the ups and downs, the family remained united. Every difficulty they faced only served to strengthen the bonds that held them together. The memories of vacations at the beach became a beacon, constantly reminding them that together, they could overcome any obstacle. On the one-year anniversary of that unforgettable trip, they decided to return to the beach. This time, with the certainty that, regardless of what the future held, they would be ready to face it. Walking hand in hand on the sand, Caroline, Amanda, and Julie looked out at the horizon with hearts full of hope and gratitude. Life can be unpredictable, full of unexpected twists and challenges. But for this family, love and unity were the constants that guided them. Together, they were ready for any new dawn, knowing that with courage, love, and determination, they could turn any storm into a beautiful rainbow. Share your opinion about this story and share it with your friends. It can inspire them and brighten their days. Until the next emotional story.